Now, the Israeli strikes continue to bomb Lebanon on Monday, with at least about 13 Lebanese people having been killed across the country in just the last 24 hours. Now, Lebanon's health ministry has listed the casualty toll in cities in the east, south and also near Beirut. So this is the scale of bombings that the Israelis have carried out with the use of American weapons. Now, most deaths have been reported in the south. The Israeli military claims that it struck approximately 25 targets belonging to the Hezbollah. And according to reports, the Iran-backed group has also set off one of the biggest crude rocket salvos on Sunday, firing about 250 crude rockets on the state of Israel. Meanwhile, the White House has put out or floated a ceasefire deal between Israel and Lebanon's Hezbollah, and it claims that it is close as the negotiations remain ongoing. An Israeli official has said that the Security Cabinet is preparing to decide whether to accept a proposed ceasefire from the Americans. The United States, the European Union and the United Nations have all pushed for a truce in the long-running hostilities between Israel and Hezbollah. France, which alongside Washington has also spearheaded some efforts towards a truce, has reported some significant progress in ceasefire talks. France has urged the state of Israel and Hezbollah to seize this opportunity and to agree on a ceasefire as soon as possible. Italy, which holds the rotating presidency of the G7 group of nations, has also voiced optimism about the possibility of a ceasefire in Lebanon. The group of 7 foreign ministers held a meeting hosted by Italy where they also discussed the ICC's arrest warrants that have been issued against the sitting Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, the former Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant and the Hamas's military chief. The Italian foreign minister has urged G7 nations to have a unified stance, and this comes as an intensive Israeli military bombardment of the Gaza Strip is now in its 50th day. Now, UNRWA officials have said that the situation is in fact getting worse by the hour, and the remaining residents in the Gaza Strip are left scavenging amongst the rubble for food.
Our latest estimate, around 65,000 people in these besieged areas. We hear that they are scavenging from residential buildings, scavenging among the rubble, trying to find any old tins of cans, canned food, any kind of source of food that's already in these residential buildings or among the rubble. This population, this isn't the first time that they have been surviving on things like animal feed.
All right, now to give us more insights in terms of what is happening in terms of this war from the state of Israel, we're joined by WION's correspondent, Jody Cohen, is joining us live from Ra'anana. Jody, what is the reaction within the state of Israel about this ceasefire proposal that has been floated by the Americans, and how do the Israeli people look at this American proposed ceasefire proposal?
Hi, Mohammed. So we know that Israel's Security Cabinet is voting on this evening. The IDF has reportedly advised that the army has achieved its goals of destroying Hezbollah's infrastructure on the border and removing Hezbollah's capacity to carry out a 7th of October style attack on Israel. But there has been some opposition to the ceasefire. For example, from ultra-nationalist Itamar Ben-Gvir, he suggested that Israel must continue dismantling Hezbollah. But interestingly, he has not threatened to leave the government over this issue. Now, mayors of northern towns have also expressed concern, and that's because they feel that it's not yet safe for residents to return home. But some prominent right-wing commentators are supporting this deal. For example, Caroline Glick is saying that the alternative would be UN Security Council sanctions, which President Trump would not be able to cancel. And Hillel Fult has suggested that the IDF has seriously weakened Hezbollah Hezbollah, taking out their leadership and thousands of operatives, and that President Trump would be supportive of future Israeli action if Hezbollah breaks the ceasefire terms.
Now, over the course of the last 13-odd months since this war has been ongoing, we've seen many peace proposals that have been floated by the Americans. None of them have come through. So why should this peace proposal for a potential ceasefire in Lebanon go through? And if it does, do you think it could also result in peace in the Gaza Strip as well?
So it's looking like it could go through. I mean, White House National Security spokesperson John Kirby said that the ceasefire is close, but he also said that nothing is negotiated until everything is negotiated. And we know that in northern Israel, they're bracing for an increase in rocket fire by Hezbollah ahead of a potential ceasefire, and that one wrong move could potentially blow up this ceasefire proposal. But Prime Minister Netanyahu believes that a ceasefire in Lebanon would isolate Hamas in Gaza and be a potential catalyst for a subsequent ceasefire and hostage release deal in Gaza. And now top Hamas official in Lebanon, Osama Hamdan, has said that Hamas would back an Israeli Hezbollah ceasefire, despite Hezbollah's previous promises to only agree to a ceasefire when the Gaza war ends. Now, in the latest, we're hearing that US Middle East envoy Brett McCurk is visiting Saudi Arabia to discuss the potential ceasefires. And there have been reports that Saudi Arabia could play a role in post-war Gaza, and also that there could potentially be a future peace agreement between Saudi Arabia and Israel too. So a ceasefire in Lebanon could certainly have implications for other fronts.
All right, we are completely out of time. Thank you very much indeed, Jody Cohen, for joining us. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.